Hey, you guys, I want to talk about the brutality and pain of spiritual healing, which involves spiritual warfare. I don't think people understand the depths of hell that you have to go through in order to heal your spirit, your soul, your mind, your emotions. The pain sometimes is too much to bear for some people. Now, everybody has trauma, or everyone has experienced trauma. Some people's trauma has been shallow. They had a few bumps and scrapes here and there, but nothing really major. While other people have had so much trauma to where they don't even realize that they are traumatized. And that's why you find a lot of people that are abusive and controlling, dysfunctional, and toxic, because they have so much pain and rage and hurt inside of them that they haven't dealt with, but they have internalized it unto themselves, and then they project that pain onto other people instead of dealing with it themselves. And I'm speaking on this because a couple of years ago, I went through my own season of spiritual healing and spiritual warfare. To say it was traumatic and painful is putting it lightly. I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want this video to be long. But I will say this. It's hell working your way, fighting your way back to your own self after you have been in the midst, in the throes of spiritual warfare. It's not like physical warfare where, you get a couple of bumps and bruises, and they heal. You may have a little scar as a memento. You look, oh, so I remember, when this happened. But it doesn't have the same triggering effect as when you are in spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare, it just embeds itself into your being, into your very fibers of your soul. And you cannot shake it. You cannot get rid of it. You cannot compartmentalize it until you actually deal with it. And it's hard for a lot of people to do that. Again, that's why they internalize it unto themselves and project it onto other people. It's painful to really sit down, have a seat inside of your own soul, inside of your own mind, inside of your own spirit, inside of your own emotions, and unpack all of those boxes and bags that hold all of the trauma and hurt and pain that you have experienced. Now, again, some people's trauma is on the shallow end, and others are on that deep end where they literally need a life jacket, a lifeboat. They need to send out an SOS because they need help in pulling themselves up out of, I don't know what to call that, just a hellhole of trauma that they're in. This is what we would call shadow work. And a lot of people don't want to do the shadow work because they don't want to face the dark side of themselves. But that's where the healing is. That's where it begins. You have to be brave. You have to face the dark side of yourself, because that is where the skeletons in your closet are. They're on the dark side. You got to open up that closet door and you got to start snatching all them damn skeletons out, and you got to compartmentalize them, and then you got to bury them in their grave and leave them there. There is something to be said about healing, spiritual warfare. It is not easy, but it is necessary. If you are in any type of trauma, any type of pain, you're holding on to rage, and it's causing your life and causing you to be dysfunctional and toxic, not only to yourself but other people. I implore you to sit down. If you don't want to talk to a therapist, first of all, you got to go to God, and you got to ask the Most High to help you. Because by God's stripes, you are healed. You want to ask for that help. And then you have to do the work. You have to be willing to get real with yourself. And again, I know facing traumatic experiences is really hard for some people, especially if they happen in childhood. Not everyone has hard trauma or traumatic experiences from their childhood. For some people, it comes later in life. It comes as adults when we get into dysfunctional relationships. We hold on to toxic people, whether they're friends or family members or lovers. It happens. But it's so important that you get the help that you need. Writing is so therapeutic. If you don't feel comfortable talking to someone, write it out. Write it out, write it out, write it out. Because that's release. And when you start doing that, journaling is very good for the soul. When you start journaling, it's going to be painful. You're going to want to cry. You're going to experience every emotion. You're going to be mad. You're going to want to cry. You're going to want to curse somebody out. Like, you might want to, you're just going to experience every single emotion that you can experience as a human. But that's good, because that's release. That's all that it is. So if you're going through something, or if you've been through something traumatic and you're internalizing all of that trauma, and you're just in a constant spiritual warfare with yourself, that is not healthy. That is not what the Most High would have for you. And that's not what you should want for yourself. The work is hard. It's painful. But once you start it and you get in the throes of the process of spiritual healing, there's light at the end of that tunnel. Into each rain, sunlight must fall. It cannot rain all of the time. There's going to come a time when the rain is going to stop, the clouds are going to part, and the sun is just going to beam down its beautiful, warm, life-giving rays upon the earth. That's what spiritual healing is like. You gotta make it through the storm, because there's always light at the end of the tunnel. The sun will shine. And as I always say at the end of my videos, God has not forgot. As above, so below. So just keep that in mind if you're going through something. I am not a therapist. I am not giving any type of psychological advice or therapy. advice because I'm not licensed or certified to do that. I'm speaking on a spiritual level, which I am qualified to do that because I done been through some things myself, and I have helped quite a few people walk through the storm, battle through their spiritual warfare. So I know what I'm talking about, and I have not only helped plenty other people, I've helped myself. So that was just in my spirit while I was in the kitchen making myself a little late night snack, and I didn't want to forget it because sometimes when I think of topics I want to talk about and upload, if I don't write it down right away, or if I don't do it right away, it'll slip my mind and it won't come back to me the original way that it was given to me. So this was very important. I didn't want the thought to slip away. So y'all be blessed. Stay in prayer. God is not forgot. And thank you to all my subscribers. Again, y'all know this is a new channel, so I'm just growing it. And I appreciate every one of you that has subscribed so far. For all of you that are peeking in, visiting, kind of filling me out. Thank you for peeking in. Thank you for visiting. Thank you for filling me out. Subscribe while you're doing all the peeking, visiting, and filling me out. I would love to have you here. We would love to have you here with us. Come grow with the Divine Soul family. And as always, as above, so below. Into each rain, sunlight must fall. And most importantly, God has not forgotten.